It's just what we need in the Northeast. Some more snow and cold temperatures, but that's what we have outside the rack on the campus of Rutgers University. One of the great barns in college basketball. A sellout crowd inside, at least making its way from the cold inside for Big Monday. Presented by Bud Light. The Scarlet Knights hosting the 4th-ranked Orange of Syracuse, winners of 12 in a row. They are 6-0 in Big East play. The Cuse and Boston College, the lone remaining unbeatens in the Big East. Sean McDonough with Jay Billis and Bill Raftery and other stars on display beyond these two gentlemen next to me.
Well, Sean, for Syracuse, it's Jerry McNamara, one of the deepest range shooters in college basketball, averaging 4 threes per game in Big East play. He still hasn't broken out yet. It could be tonight, Bill Raftery.
Well, Sean, you've been complaining about the weather. It's never too cold for Quincy Doobie. The ability to knock down trays, but Jay, I think the most improvement has been in the area putting down the floor. He's going to have to get into the cracks of the zone, Sean.
Syracuse has had the upper hand in this rivalry all time, but not lately here at the rack. Rutgers has won 4 of the last 5 meetings between these two teams here, and Rutgers could use a boost. It's a team that's lost 5 of its last 6. They're just 1-4 in Big East play. The Sonic starting lineups for Syracuse: Hakeem Warwick, their leading scorer at 20 points per game, with the familiar cast of Pace, Forth, McNamara, and McCroskey. And it's a young Rutgers team, a freshman in Bailey, 3 sophomores, and the senior Ricky Shields for Coach Gary Waters. Steve Welmer will throw the ball in the air. Rutgers dressed in the home white. Tim Higgins and Carl Hess are the other officials. And Big Monday is underway as Warwick controlled the tip for Syracuse.
Well, Sean, McDonough and Jay Billis. Rutgers goes.
Jerry McNamara guarded by Marquise Webb. He is the best defender for Rutgers. Warwick, who's been on fire lately, 3 games in a row of 22 or more, and he has the first basket of the night.
They run a lot of ISOs for him, and he takes advantage of those long steps and arms.
Quincy Doobie thought about a very deep 3. He'll shoot it from well beyond the arc, and he lets that one fly from deep. And Craig Forth the rebound as he starts in his 123rd consecutive game.
Pretty.
And Warwick is fouled by the freshman Bailey. First foul on Ollie. The big problem for Rutgers, lack of depth, size, and strength inside. Teams have been exploiting the inexperience and lack of depth in there.
Nice drive by Louis McCroskey, draws joins to him, and that leaves Hakeem Warwick all alone, has to draw that weak side defender to him. And you're right, Bill, they do a great job of isolating him down on the low post. And even though he wants to be a 3-man, do more facing of the basket, he is so good with his back to the basket in the post.
You know, working with Sean McDonough, you sometimes forget how clever these Syracuse players are. The sleight of hand and their ability to pass the ball is extraordinary, and they're unselfish.
Warwick makes both. He's at 64% from the line, but coming up lately, made 7 out of 8 in their win Saturday against West Virginia. The 12th win in a row for Syracuse. They have the longest winning streak in the country among teams that have suffered at least 1 defeat.
Be interesting to see how Rutgers probes this defense. They're settling jump shots right now. They've got to get that ball into the middle of the zone to collapse it and get something inside.
And Coach Gary Waters says for them to fare well this year, they have to shoot the ball well. If they don't, you can just about forget about it because they get so little inside. Warwick lost it and got it back and then missed McNamara, and that'll be a backcourt violation against the Cuse. The Rutgers coach is Gary Waters in his 4th year here on the banks after 5 years at Kent State, where he turned that program around, won a MAC championship, and took them to 2 NCAA tournaments, the first 2 in school history. He had them in the NIT finals here at Rutgers last year. They lost to Michigan.
And Sean, Gary wants to go inside. They do on cue here out. That's the way you're going to get good looks.
Marquise Webb missed a 3 out of the corner. Rutgers cold here in the first minute and a half plus. McCroskey, who very nearly went to Rutgers, gets the bounce. 6-0 Syracuse, nearly 2 minutes deep.
Now, the more you watch their zone, fellas, you know, they step it out when you're just going to shoot outside. I agree with him. I think he's got to attack from behind somehow or inside.
They trap out of it. They're so long, and when it extends, when you get it into the middle, that's where it's got to be. But he's got to turn Joins and face the basket and be a threat.
Joins, number 21, is not much of a scorer, averaging just 3 points per game for the Scarlet Knights. Warwick locked it up for fourth. I think he was thinking mini alley-oop, but fourth never got off the ground.
Well, that's a pass that Craig Forth needs to catch.
Marquise Webb, and there's Joins, who's going to be left open apparently at the foul line, and so far he won't shoot it. Webb has Rutgers on the board. That's a long two. His toes were on the line. The sophomore from Paterson, New Jersey, Webb with the first bucket for the Knights.
The last 4 trips, they've done some positive things. That time they finally converted.
Warwick has been working to extend his range. Shot hundreds of jump shots nearly every day this summer in Manley Fieldhouse. Shields pass deflected out of bounds by Warwick. 31 on the clock for Rutgers.
This is the area that's open in the zone right here. When he gets it, you got to look at the basket. Be a threat. He didn't look at the basket, didn't draw Greg Forth up there. If Forth doesn't come up, you are not a threat.
There's Quincy Doobie, a deep three, the sophomore from Brooklyn. Out of Grady High School, they went out of St. Thomas More Prep in Connecticut. He's their leading scorer, averaging 16.7 per game, 7th in the Big East.
And he is a gamer, very talented performer. And that's that drop step that Warwick likes to use. But sticking with Doobie, Jay, his ability to shoot really has improved his dribble game. Not that you'll see much of it today.
Well, he's got a quick release. He's very right-handed on that dribble. As he learns how to put it on the floor, he needs to start putting it on the floor with his left hand as well. Be more of a threat in that regard. 4 games ago, Gary Waters moved Doobie to the point and shifted Webb, who had been the point guard, to the 3 spot. Bailey, tough shot. He made it. And after a slow start, Rutgers was 7 unanswered.
Getting the ball to the correct spots and making decisions, so key. Syracuse will take that away eventually in front of him. They've got to have a counter.
Well, I thought that Forth should have knocked it away as is. I mean, if he just would have stuck that right arm out, he would have knocked that ball away. That was an awfully bad pass.
McNamara on to the 3-point shot. He hustles to get it back and then lost it in front of the Rutgers bench. 6 straight for Jim Boeheim, then 7 straight for the Knights. And welcome back to the rack, where Syracuse jumped out to a 6-0 lead, but 7 unanswered points for Rutgers. And the Scarlet Knights have a 1-point lead at our first time out. Sean McDonough with Jay Billis and Bill Raftery.
Excuse me, fellas.
For those of you watching on HD, we apologize for how close Bill is to the camera.
Oh, my goodness. I didn't go out before the game either. I've heard this is a tough place to play, but work, it's a little too tight.
Close quarters.
Yeah, it's unusual broadcast position, and that it's not on the floor, which is unlike most buildings around the country. And this really is a great home court for Rutgers, and kind of the equalizer over the years. They played very tough as the underdog. They were 16-2 at home last year. Not so much this year, just 4-3 in this building this year.
Well, they're younger inside. I really do think that makes a big difference. What a great screen by Joins on Forth. Outstanding.
They are doing a wonderful job switching the attack, selecting properly.
They haven't missed a 2-point shot yet. They're 3 for 3 on 2-point field goals, 1 out of 5 from 3-point range. Warwick off for McCroskey. Tough runner, and he makes it. Louis McCroskey, the sophomore from the Bronx out of St. Raymond's, where he was the Catholic League High School Player of the Year as a senior. Doobie!
That's unbelievable. I don't think anybody expected him to shoot it that deep. Some range.
Boy, they are a different team here. The way they play with such confidence and can get on a roll. They're streak shooters, and it always seems to be a good streak here.
Syracuse so tough because the perimeter guys can take you with the dribble. Anything breaks down, they're creative. Drop step.
Good defense by Shields on Josh Pace. He's in the lane a long time. That got Gary Waters up off the bench. McCroskey, too strong. 4th at tip, and then a foul on Warwick as he went over the back of Byron Joins.
Well, one way of beating that zone, Jay, is a deep thrust, but not often. This is incredible.
Not a hand up. Look how deep that was. They did not expect him to pull the trigger from that range. That's extraordinary.
I think even in the 2-3, you got to match him right at half court and then dribble or go along with him as he dribbles.
Doobie shot 43% from 3 last year as a freshman. He was second in the Big East Conference in three-point percentage and was the leading scoring freshman in the Big East. He averaged 12.5 last year.
Same play, Sean.
And there's Bailey with a chance for the old-fashioned three-point play.
It was just Joins that was occupying the middle of that defense, and when he did, that opened it up for Bailey inside. Really well done.
And you were mentioning the hands a little bit late. Great screen.
But Joins, number 21, just flashed right into the middle and took the attention away of Terrence Roberts. And while Hakeem Warwick was trying to get out to a shooter, or at least shade out to a shooter, that opened it up in that short corner. And that's an area, Bill, down near where the free throw line is and meets the baseline. That short corner is going to get a lot of openings.
Not a big good play here by McNamara. Pace doesn't set his guy up. I think you're going to see some man-to-man from Jim Boeheim. If they are as lethargic, or Rutgers is as good picking the zone apart, Sean. We've seen that before. They know how to guard.
Terrence Roberts off the bench for Syracuse. He committed the foul on the three-point play by Bailey, who has 7 points for Rutgers. I mentioned their lack of productivity inside. Not the case tonight. Pace with a chance for 3.
The yo-yo dribble. Make believe you're going, show it, take it away, and that's the effect of their ability to beat their guy, Jay.
Well, we've called it an old man game. Stays on the floor, good head and shoulder fakes, and that little push shot with his left hand, he is left-handed, but that little left-handed push shot, he's devastating with that.
Not a great free throw shooter, 58% this year, 50% for his career, but he made it. Pace, a senior from Griffin, Georgia. And the Rutgers lead is 4 with 6 minutes gone by in the first half. Doobie! Wow.
I couldn't reach the basket from there.
That was a launch. He has that kind of range as we've seen already, but that was even deeper than usual. McNamara shows his deep range. He's the all-time three-point field goal maker at Syracuse. 257 for his career. He broke Preston Shumpert's record just a couple of games ago.
That's one of their toughest plays, the slapback pass to him. You can't guard it properly.
Well, that exchange they have in transition is really hard to guard.
Joins the shot. Bailey the rebound. Joins picked it off the floor. Byron Joins, who averages 3 points per game, has his first bucket. The sophomore from Baltimore, out of Towson Catholic, where he was once a teammate of Carmelo Anthony.
Well, Joins and Bailey just playing with more energy than the Syracuse big guys right now.
McCroskey.
Oh, bring it with you. Jersey zone. A turret on the offensive glass. Roberts.
That is some energy.
You know, they took 4th out. Roberts is playing the middle. They had done such a good job. Jim was upset with his center.
First bucket for Roberts. He's from Jersey City and Joins with a chance for 3. Well, Bailey and Joins combined average 13.5 points per game. And they're just about there right now.
Well, jumping Jackie Jackson, I played against years ago. Half Converse will jump. That's what that looked like. He could short, take a corner off the top of the backboard, and then pause for a soda. That's incredible.
Well, McCroskey's little move into the lane was what drew Bailey out and opened up the offensive glass. And that reminds you a little bit of Derek Coleman, doesn't it? That left-handed jam.
The long arm of the law.
Joins makes the free throw. Been to the line only 15 times all year. Now Joins has 5 and Bailey has 7. They combined for 12. Point and a half below their combined season average. We're only 7.5 minutes into this one. McNamara strong to the bucket.
And everybody stayed at home on their guy. Nobody assisted, but you got to contain. Easier said than done.
Yeah, Joins was afraid to come off of Hakeem Warwick for fear that he'd get it punched on him if he came over.
Man to man. Jimmy B, you don't win all those games honing in on 100, just sitting there and watch your team be picked apart.
You didn't win all those games following your suggestions either. Shields to fade away.
I'll be invited to the ceremony. He's got a couple of my scalps.
Well, he told us before the game that they played a good amount of zone against West Virginia. It was very successful for them. And they do play mostly man, man-to-man. They play mostly man in practice.
Jewel Wiggin has come in, number 13 for Rutgers, the senior co-captain, along with Shields. McCroskey a miss, an air ball, fielded by Bailey. He's out of Farragut Academy in Chicago, where Kevin Garnett is the all-time leading scorer, and Bailey's number 3. Doobie, wild layup. McCroskey leads a 5-on-4 the other way.
Nice look there.
Pace stripped, and Doobie, who never got back in the play, between the legs to Shields, who's fouled by 4.
Pretty heady play, though. Save the ball and get a chance for 2.
The crowd is engaged as the upset-minded Scarlet Knights lead by 4. It's the start of Big Monday, presented by Bud Light here in New Jersey. Later tonight, ESPN has 2 more college games. First at 9 Eastern, in-state rivals clash. John Lucas, Joey Graham, and the Oklahoma State Cowboys face the Oklahoma Sooners in a Big 12 battle. And then at midnight Eastern, Matt Nelson and sharpshooting Colorado State face Marcus Slaughter and the San Diego State Aztecs. Big Monday presented by Bud Light on ESPN tonight. Billy Edelin, who's kind of been in and out of action in recent games for Syracuse, is on the court right now, averaging 13.5 minutes per game. And of course, he missed the first 5 before returning, getting his academic house in order. But he played 30 minutes in their win Saturday up at the Carrier Dome against West Virginia and had 12 points and 7 assists.
Jim Boeheim says the best he's played. Another addition to this team. They're cerebral. Again, the ability to put it on the deck, Jay. Nice compliment in the backcourt.
Well, he can get to the basket and finish. He's strong, he's clever, he's smart, he finds open areas. And I think he's a real key to this team. As he goes along in the season, he's going to play more and more minutes, and that allows McNamara to move off the ball where he's at his best.
Fourth is back in for Syracuse as well. Pace, McNamara, Edelin, Fourth, and Warwick for the Cuse. Warwick bodied up by Joins, and the shot is short. Rebounded by Shields.
But Joins is huge.
Nobody back there.
And Fourth had it ripped away by Wiggin. And a held ball. Joins is big, Jay, and he used to be a lot bigger. He lost about 40 pounds in the offseason. He was a little flabby. Now he's toned up that body. They say it's really helped his stamina, strength, and agility.
Well, Warwick tried to turn toward the basket, and Joins just about put him into the Rutgers bench.
How about body by Jake making comments over there, Jay?
Shields, a deep 3. The rebound went off the floor to Joins.
I believe that may be Fourth. That's one of the few times I've seen Syracuse beaten down the floor in their zone. They usually get back in position. This building does something to the psyche.
Well, the folks are right on top of you. It is loud. It's warm in here. They've sold every ticket, more than 8,000. Some of the seats are empty with the foul weather outside. Undoubtedly, some having trouble getting here decided not to come. Nice pass by Joins to Bailey. He missed, and Warwick, who averages 9 rebounds a game, ripped one down.
Can't draw it up any better than that, though.
McNamara for 3. Well, he has a lot of friends and family here. He's from Scranton, Pennsylvania, not far from the rack.
That random ball screen in transition, really hard to deal with when you're scrambling to get back.
Tough to show on it.
Ball movement by Rutgers. Wiggin didn't get the bounce. Fourth. More than midway through the first half. Rutgers with a 3-point lead. They're 1-4 in conference. Their only victory over Providence. They're coming off a loss against in-state rival Seton Hall in the Meadowlands over the weekend. Warwick fouled, and he'll shoot.
Jay, you mentioned the ability in transition, and McNamara, one of the best at it, really understands how to get the screen, but everybody's backed away too far.
You're scrambling to get back in transition, then all of a sudden that ball screen hits the guard. Bailey not paying attention to get up there and stop him.
Hakeem Warwick makes the first.
Martine Webb returns for the Scarlet Knights. Jimmy Inglis enters for
Warwick,
Rutgers.
one of the great stars in college basketball, back for his senior year. But like a couple of the other stars of the Big East, Ryan Gomes, Craig Smith, really unheralded for much of his high school career. When Warwick was in the 10th grade, he was 6'2", and on the JV team in high school at University City in Philadelphia. In a growth spurt, he really began to develop and started to get the attention of Syracuse, among others.
Well, that is wide open there. If he can make that shot, terrific look. How about Bailey celebrating it? Why not?
Well, Forth has to step up in the middle of that zone. He has not been very active. He's allowed passes to come in. He needs to knock a few of those away.
Big thing, though, is the guards have to stay outside. It opens up that passing lane because of the terrific shooters.
Pace got bumped. The crowd wanted to walk, but he stumbled because he was bumped by Wiggin. And that's the first on Jewel Wiggin, the senior from the Bronx. Well, so far, it's exactly what Gary Waters said he wanted to see. Get the ball in the middle of that zone and create from there. It's hard to do, as Gary well knows, against Syracuse, but his team is doing it.
Great preparation, and you know they put that tape on the floor. We'll get to that in a second, Sean.
Edelin from the foul line. And a foul in the rebounding action against Rutgers.
They put tape on the floor, which we watched today. They haven't gotten a shot from that tape area because they don't need it on the ball reversal, Jay. They're getting it wherever they want on the other end.
Well, they get it into the middle, right where it says the rack near the free throw line, and they're looking down that short corner.
We have a moment of telestrate where the two tape boxes were in the court, where Gary Waters wanted to see them get the ball. McNamara has 10 now. That's his second three, 4 out of 5 from the floor. McNamara averaging over 18 a game in Big East play in their 6 wins. And Bailey fouled. He'll go to the line with Rutgers leading by 1.
And Sean, since you run the show for us, we'll give you what you asked, right? Right about there, Jay? And this is the area on ball reversal they thought they might get the kind of jump shot, but they've done such a great job at the foul line, they don't need that.
And they're doing a great job of screening the middleman in that zone. When they screen him, that has opened up some things right around the block area, and they've gotten some passes down to Bailey and Joins. They've done a really good job of screening the middleman in the zone.
Gary's only got 8 guys he plays, and up front, they're not big and deep, and that really is a problem for him. So they have to stay on the floor and not foul.
And Bailey, who averages 10.5 per game, has 11 here in the first 11.5 minutes. And Rutgers with a 3-point lead. They gave Syracuse a real battle up in the Carrier Dome last year. The only meeting between the two was a 2-point Syracuse win. Roberts from 16 feet. Pace.
Little late, great hustle.
By Bailey. Warwick fouled before the shot.
No basket.
You're right, Bailey just dove. That was a layup if he didn't hustle back there, cut off the passing lane.
Could be a problem for Rutgers. It's the second foul on Jimmy Inglis, who's their first big man off the bench. 6 team fouls, 6 on each, so we'll see 1 and 1 hereafter. And the next foul against each team. Bailey guarding Warren.
Early in the year, I saw him take over, Jay, against Ryan Gomes. He's expanded his game, but you mentioned the deep jump shot earlier. Not afraid to beat his guy with the bounce.
Well, one of the reasons he got that shot off, Bailey threw a shoe. Lost his shoe during the play, and that's why he's late coming down the floor right now. He had to put it back on and tie it up again. So quick, he stepped out of his shoe.
Here's a 3 that wouldn't go for Shields. And here's Pace. Dribbling away from Doobie.
Pace was all alone on that rebound. Syracuse has to improve its rebounding.
Edelin with a chance for 3. Great body control underneath. A little bump. And he was still able to make the shot. He'll shoot the free throw after the media timeout. Welcome back to Big Monday, presented by Bud Light. Our Big East offering tonight. Number 4 Syracuse, winners of 12 in a row against the Scarlet Knights of Rutgers. Sean McDonough, Jay Billis, and Bill Raftery. Syracuse up to number 4 this week from 7 last week. A couple of teams dropping down in the poll, most notably Kansas, which was walloped over the weekend by Villanova in downtown Philadelphia. Boston College only up 1 spot. Still not winning over everybody, despite the undefeated record.
Would you say the biggest surprise might be Washington up there for people who thought about them before the season? Robinson and Conroy.
People thought they were going to be good. Maybe not top 10 good, but certainly a contender in the Pac-10. Edelin made the free throw. Who do you think is more surprising, BC or Washington? Oh, BC.
BC, yeah. You have to be right.
But not that they're top 20 good, but that they're undefeated. I mean, who would have thought they'd be undefeated at this point?
And right now the same offense prevails, but you got to deliver the pass. They screen and bounce to the foul line. Joins with the turnover.
Well, he also had a shot there. I mean, Forth didn't step up to take it away. He could have just shot a short little jumper in the lane.
I don't know whether they want him to shoot that. That would be the problem.
But even if you miss it once, you're still a threat to take it. You can draw
the second turnover for Rutgers. Warwick working on Joins. You think he was a little too content to settle for that fadeaway shot so far?
Well, they're forcing him to it. That's part of the problem. Nice run out by Forth. They're a little disjointed in the back.
Joins. Byron Joins, coming off a 6.7 rebound effort against Seton Hall Saturday, has 7 points here tonight. He's been rebounding well lately, 8 per game over the last 3, but the scoring really hasn't come along with it until tonight.
Did you like the little red R back play, the high scissor there? Oh, well, Boeheim has been around. They get the free throw, and we're not ready for that.
Jim Boeheim not at all happy with the defensive effort on that last play by Hakeem Warwick, and now Warwick will take a seat next to the master.
How can you tell the difference whether he's happy or not?
It's all about letting Rutgers drive to the basket, and Hakeem Warwick did not close out under control and take care of his defensive responsibilities on the last play.
Edelin makes the free throw. Doobie's gone to the bench with 2 fouls. It does bring to mind that old quote, Jim, if you're happy, tell your face. 5 wins from 700 with the retirement of Lou Henson, and we certainly wish the great coach Henson well in his retirement. Jim Boeheim now 6th among active coaches in victories. Only Bob Knight, Eddie Sutton, Lute Olson, John Chaney, and Mike Krzyzewski have more. A 3 out of the corner for Shields. Ricky Shields, the senior from Upper Marlboro, Maryland.
Their philosophy is almost built to beat a Syracuse when you think of it. Drag the defense away and you can get something inside because they shoot so well.
Roberts way off of that air ball and then a foul on the rebounding action against Edelin.
Ricky Shields, you can see him running the baseline. No, that's him right. Yeah, there he is. I thought he was running the baseline. Right. Running the baseline, gets the pass from Webb. Look how deep he was there, drawing Terrence Roberts all the way out to the corner.
They've got the defense in shambles a little bit, trying to cover the areas of the floor.
Well, when he ran the baseline, just a simple little overload. And when he catches it, you got to make him put it on the floor, even though he can go both ways. When he goes left, he likes to pull up right, take it all the way to the basket, but you still have to make him put it down.
Manny Quezada, freshman backup guard, missed the front end of a 1-and-1 after Edelin's first foul. So it's still the Scarlet Knights by 2 with under 6 minutes to go in the first half.
Overload one-way pick and roll to the open side.
And Edelin fouled by Joins.
Interesting little ploy here where they do ISO within the offense. Everybody's on the left side. This is the open area. You set your guy up nicely knowing that this is the open opportunity, and the defense just really does. They should have closed or been there ahead of time, Jay.
Billy Edelin's so good at drawing contact to get a foul.
And he makes the first free throw. The foul on Joins is first, the team's 9th. Mentioned the big day Saturday against West Virginia for Edelin, 12.7 assists in 30 minutes. He was scoreless in the previous 2 games. Against Georgetown and Providence, played a total of 21 minutes. in those two games. And how about the crowds coming back to the Carrier Dome? Of course, they've always drawn well, but they had more than 29,000 tickets sold for West Virginia Saturday. Not all of them made it because of bad weather.
How about
Manny Quezada off the bench joining the three-point barrage. The freshman from Washington Heights, New York, went to high school at St. Albans in Washington, D.C.
Is that his first, Sean?
It's his second three of the year. He was 1 for 6. Pace. Rebound, Shields. Webb one-on-one on McNamara.
Great job by McNamara.
A three for Shields.
Boy, does that punish the defense with the dribble. And the range of the delivery is extraordinary.
Timeout Syracuse. Ricky Shields on his way to being the all-time three-point maker in Rutgers history. Puts the Scarlet Knights of Coach Waters up by 6.
Gary Waters said that his team had to hit shots. And against the Syracuse 2-3 zone, a lot of those shots are going to be three-point shots. And this Rutgers team, when they are allowed to catch, shoot, set their feet, they have deep range and they can drill it. Quincy Doobie, what a shooter.
And they've done a nice job pushing the ball down the floor, as we saw at the end, to get in the open look, dispersing the ball beautifully from the top there at the foul line. There's the kick out, nylon, a little bit of a dagger as they get the house warmed up.
They're doing it in a variety of ways. They get the ball into the middle of the zone, kick it out. They get them in transition. It's really been well done.
5 threes for Rutgers. They've made their last 4 from beyond the arc. McNamara, he thought he was hit. It was deflected by Webb, who runs out.
Nice hustle, huh?
McNamara got back to deflect it out of bounds. Rutgers is 11th in the Big East in scoring at under 66 points per game. They have 39 already with 4:35 to go in the first half. Jim Boeheim will not be happy with the defense when he addresses his troops at halftime.
And Rutgers is being physical. I mean, Joins has just been throwing people out of the way, especially Warwick.
Webb, unlucky there. Waterstrap, the freshman. And there's basket interference. Count the goal for Dan Waterstrap, the freshman from Dearborn Heights, Michigan.
How about how he kept it high, Bill? Didn't bring it down.
It's almost like a clinic. The way that time it was the dribble to find people. You mentioned the passing. It's been extraordinary.
8 straight points for Rutgers and an 8-point lead. Quezada stripped Warwick. McNamara defends and fouls on the drive. It'll be a 1-and-1 opportunity for Manny Quezada.
Byron Joins has been a brick wall to Hakeem Warwick. Watch when he tries to spin back. There's nowhere to go. Quezada just comes over as he spins. They know in the scouting report that every time Warwick tries to go to the basket, he's going to wheel on you and spin. And Quezada, just a freshman, took advantage of it. And Joins has done a spectacular job of using that big body.
Rutgers losing 5 of the last 6, as noted. They have some attitude about themselves this evening.
They've had kind of a strange season because they had some really nice non-conference wins before they got into Big East play. They beat Charlotte. They beat Kansas State on the road, a tough place to play out in Manhattan. They beat St. Mary's of California, a team that's had some nice wins, may well be in the NCAA tournament, but in the league just 1-4. 10-point lead, largest for either team. 10 straight points for Rutgers, and Warwick was shoved by Joins. Second foul on Joins. It'll be 2 shots for Warwick in the double bonus when we come back. All right, Dave, thank you. We'll look forward to that. 10 unanswered points for Rutgers. Tonight's Big Monday. Tomorrow night is Super Tuesday, presented by Toyota. Another great college basketball doubleheader. At 7 Eastern, rivals Kentucky and Tennessee go head-to-head, and then at 9 Eastern time, the Wisconsin Badgers put the longest active home court winning streak on the line as they take on the #1 team in the country, unbeaten Illinois. Super Tuesday presented by Toyota on ESPN tomorrow. Warwick for 2.
38 straight games won at the Kohl Center for Wisconsin. And Dick Vitale said the other day that Gary Williams told him that Wisconsin has an Ivy League mentality with scholarship players. And I thought that was a great way to describe the way Wisconsin plays.
What does that mean?
It means they're unselfish, they guard you, and they share the ball, and they're hard to guard.
They slip anybody into the low post area, which is very tough for guards to contest. They reverse the ball. A lot of great off-the-ball action.
And they put their big guys out on the perimeter. A big guy has to guard Mike Wilkinson.
A little full-court press. They got numbers if they want it.
Webb ahead to Shields.
Are they prepared?
12 for Ricky Shields. He averages 14.3 per game.
You have to be impressed by the alertness of this Rutgers team in the first half.
They have 13 assists on their 16 field goals. That's a great ratio. 7 assists already for Webb, but that is a season high. And he's done it 1/2. A scrum and a foul, I believe. Well, it's either on Warwick or McNamara.
I think Warwick, they're going to give it to him.
They do. And that is 3 fouls on Hakeem Warwick.
Just understanding and being prepared to perform, I think, is at the highest level I've seen Rutgers this year. They played Pitt well here, handling the pressure. This time they get trapped in a little nickel dimer, actually, for Warwick. Huh?
But not a smart foul, especially when you've got 2 and the first half is winding down. That's where a senior has got to show better judgment, especially on the road. You can't afford to have 3 at halftime.
Joel Wiggin, the senior, made the first. He averages 6 per game, but that might be skewed. It is skewed a little bit by the fact that he had 23 points in 1 game against Georgetown, a career high. That was a game that got away late from Rutgers, as did the game that Bill mentioned against Pittsburgh. They are 1-4, but they've had a couple of excruciating losses, which has happened to a lot of teams already in the Big East this year with so many close games.
Boy, Georgetown's an impressive team. I know Digger and Dave Revson are going to talk about them at halftime. They are really solid.
Shields way up in the air. He's their leading rebounder for the season at 5 a game at just 6'4". That's his 8th rebound tonight.
I knew Bowman was good. And Cook knows how to play, but the new kids are playing well for Georgetown.
Well, Jeff Green is a terrific passer. He faces up, he puts the ball on the floor and drives it, and he can shoot it. I really like him.
Of course, Rutgers has opened up this big lead without Doobie.
Oh.
And Shields!
Usually when you fumble the ball, you can't make the shot. So you usually don't take it. Not Doobie, Doobie, Doobie.
A 17-1 run for Rutgers and a 16-point lead. And this is from the edge of the arc.
I mean, that's not NBA range. That's no way range. You don't even bother guarding that. That's unbelievable. That's past the hash mark.
That is just awe-inspiring.
Boy,
the fluidity.
A pull-up jumper with ease.
15 for Shields, 3 out of 7 from three-point range. Later tonight, 2 more college basketball games on Big Money presented by Bud Light. A great in-state rivalry at 9 Eastern. Oklahoma State against Oklahoma. The Sooners coming off their big win over Texas over the weekend. Then at midnight Eastern time, Colorado State and San Diego State on Big Money presented by Bud Light. For more, log on to ESPN.com.
There's some magic in this building. They've raised their level of play and have for many years. Bottle it.
15 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists for Ricky Shields. And they've done this without their leading scorer on the court. Doobie on the bench with fouls. Edelin, Case, McCroskey, Robertson, fourth, and an offensive foul. Jim Boeheim with his team getting belted right now has his 2 stars on the bench. Warwick with 3 fouls, and McNamara is also getting a breather.
I thought he had a spin dribble here, Jay, if he wanted. Good defensive position.
Yeah, he's out of just stayed solid. He doesn't have to be set. He just has to be in guarding position. And Billy Edelin just dropped that right shoulder and went into Quezada, got the offensive foul.
Second on Edelin. Quezada averaged 24 points at St. Albans School last year in D.C. Strong to the bucket.
The blow by! Manning! And the money! To
7 for Quezada. He averages 2 per game. Rutgers, second lowest scoring team in the Big East this year. And there's a foul away from the ball. They average 65 and change a game. They have 52 here in the first half.
Terrence Roberts trying to get rid. How about Manny? The unbelievable effort. Saw him scrape down earlier this time just to blow by with a wonderful read.
Yeah, breakdown defensively by Louis McCroskey, not staying in front, played with his hands more than his feet, and Quezada took advantage of it.
Foul on Roberts is second. Daryl Watkins has come to the table to check in. He'll play for the first time since late December. He had surgery for a thumb injury. And Eagle in great hands. Call for a reach-in. Well, it looked pretty good from here, but not to Carl Hess, and that's the third on Edelin. And the double bonus. And Rutgers, guys, with their struggle to score all year, so reliant on the outside shooting for the most part this year, although not tonight. They've had good balance doing this against a Syracuse team that is second best in the league in field goal defense. Only Connecticut is better.
They started the game, Rutgers, with some deep threes. We were starting to question. Then they got to their game plan and then reverse the ball, throw it to the post, kick it for an open three, dribble drive. I mean, everything has been to perfection.
They've moved with a purpose. Their big guys are active. I think that's a big key. Their big guys have been flashing into the middle and then on the weak side as well, moving toward the basket. And that's been hard for Syracuse to guard. And they've really screened the middle of that zone well. They haven't done it in the last few possessions, but that was really effective.
A stunning development here in New Jersey. McNamara back in, misses a three. That's not a huge shot that Rutgers would be ahead, given their recent history against Syracuse in this building. But with their struggles lately, Syracuse on a roll and a 20-point lead for Rutgers. A timeout for the Scarlet Knights with 48.5 to go and 29 to shoot. Let's go back 1 year ago today. Time running out. His team trailing Colorado State in double overtime. San Diego State reserve Ben Wardrop followed instructions from his coach. He fouled and fouled again and again. 5 fouls in all in just 71 seconds of action. The quickest disqualification in NCAA history.
Mike Reardon used to do it for the Knicks years ago. The giveaway foul. There's some distinction, huh? At least he's got an honor. Says more than Jay and I have.
Yeah, he's in the record books. You've been asked to leave places, but usually not after just 71 seconds. Quezada guarded by McNamara. Syracuse stays man-to-man.
Boy, Rutgers has cut up this man-to-man more than they did the zone.
They've got to be a 5-second count close.
Here's Edelman with 7 steals against Notre Dame a couple of big Mondays ago. McNamara with the tip. And now a chance for the last shot for Rutgers with the shot clock off. And the Scarlet Knights ahead by 18. Syracuse will trail at the half for the first time this season.
Sean, a pretty athletic move by McNamara. He really surprises him.
Quezada swatted by Watkins in his first action since late December. McNamara half court. He just short. 21-3 run to end the half over the last 5:15. Rutgers with 54 points. They average 66 a game so far this year. Shields leading the way with 15. 54-36 at the break. Let's send you back to Dave and Digger. Well, another snowy night outside the rack in Piscataway, New Jersey. But the folks who have made it inside have really enjoyed what they've seen, except a few Syracuse fans who are here as we look at game track, and a big part of this 18-point lead, the success from beyond the arc.
Well, this team can really stretch a defense. They've got long-range shooters and Ricky Shields and Quincy Doobie, and their passing, Bill, was extraordinary.
Giving it up unselfishly, and I just thought the whole game plan, they got it to the center, dispersed the ball, got the threes, and occasionally with the dribble.
And it was impressive how they cut up the man-to-man defense that Syracuse went to. It was one thing them doing against the zone, but they absolutely obliterated Syracuse's man-to-man.
Certainly was an impressive shooting performance by Rutgers in the half, but you have to think that Jim Boeheim was just about disgusted with the defensive effort. Giving up 54 points to the second lowest scoring team in the league. A long road back for Syracuse. The largest deficit they've overcome this year was 9 points. They were down 14-5 to Princeton, came back to win, and that's the start of the comeback trail as Warwick has a chance for a three-point play.
And that must be the third foul on Joins, but Warwick just took it right at him. Instead of getting bumped off and bumped out of bounds as he was in the first half, Warwick took it right into the chest of Byron Joins and got the foul in the hoop.
Was the third on Joins. Warwick shared Big East Player of the Week honors last week with Jared Dudley of Boston College. He had monster games, did Warwick, against Georgetown and West Virginia. There's a takeaway. There's McNamara missing a three. Out of bounds. Last touch by Joins. He and Pace were there. Tim Higgins says the Knights the last to touch.
Well, you always talk about Boeheim, how successful he is and how well he does coach. Right away, go to your strength. You're All-American. Then full court pressure. Get them back in the game.
Pace. He's at his best when the shot is at its ugliest.
The little kiss from a tough angle.
They are clearly coming out with a lot more energy than we saw in the first half. McNamara off to Warwick.
Got to get a timeout. They do.
Syracuse flies out of the locker room with 7 straight points in 45 seconds. What was an 18-point lead is dwindling rapidly. Big Monday presented by Bud Light continues from New Jersey. Rutgers had just 3 turnovers in the entire first half. They've turned it over twice against Jim Boeheim's pressure defense here in the first 45 seconds.
Little 1-2, 1-1 pressure, and the activity and enthusiasm of this defense and the bench. Everybody's into it.
Hey, Jim Boeheim got their attention at the break. Here's
Look at this.
Pressure again. Pace lays it in after deflected off the hands of Warwick. Shields couldn't get out of the trap. He throws it up for grabs again, but got it to Joins. Off for Bailey, who's fouled by Watkins. Gary Waters out on the court wanting an intentional foul.
I think that was a good play defensively and not a physical nor dirty one. But for the first time, Jay, they went over the top against the press. And, of course, the reaction when they hit the floor, the concern of the good health, and you need all you can get with the Cuse on a run like that. And that's what Gary was asking for.
Well, Rutgers fortunate to get that ball out of the trap. They've been trapped right on the baseline, then on the sideline. Really a coffin corner situation.
Colin Watkins is first. Bailey makes the first free throw. That's the first point of the second half for Rutgers. 12 now for Ollie Bailey, who has twice been the Big East Rookie of the Week already this season.
You know, Jay, when I just the thought, if I were Rutgers, I might go after them a little bit. Get our guys going. Get our house in it. And they are.
Exactly what they're going to do. Try to speed it up a little bit.
McNamara guarded by Marquise Webb. Webb and Darrell Watkins of Syracuse are the best of friends. They were high school teammates at Patterson Catholic here in New Jersey. McCroskey got away with shuffling his feet. The crowd in an uproar as McCroskey scores to get the deficit back into single digits for the Cuse.
Warwick is so tough with the long arms on the ball. Got to go over the top.
Stripped by McCroskey. He lays it in. It was an 18-point deficit for Syracuse at the half. And in a little more than a minute and a half, all of a sudden they're down by 7. McNamara almost had another steal. Doobie to Bailey for the dunk.
They really have too many white shirts at the other end. The little run out here.
Watkins fouled hard into the basket support by Joins.
Hakeem Warwick with his length and athleticism, and McCroskey from behind here. How can you go from being so strong with the ball in the first half to so weak with the ball in the second? Rutgers, the nice play here by Quincy Doobie, the look-away pass, and that is how you finish.
Good use of the dribble by him in the open floor, but right now they're not poised enough to reverse the ball. They've got too many people down, Jay. They need one postman, two back down there.
Wow. Watkins banks in the free throw, shooting with that thumb wrap. Joins has to go out with 4 fouls, and Dan Waterstrap comes back in. Watkins had surgery on his right thumb December 30th, and this is his first game back. He missed 7 games. Looked like he tried to bank that one in too. 1 out of 2, but Pace runs the ball down.
Good give back
By McNamara. Pace had it blocked out of bounds by Doobie.
Well, if anything right now, I think Rutgers has to play good defense, make Syracuse use some clock just to get a little semblance of order in their game.
Boy, they've really got Rutgers scrambling. It's amazing how quickly Syracuse got back into this one.
Warwick juggled the ball, but his feet never moved. And then McNamara threw it away to Waterstrap. Doobie in trouble. On the floor again. Warwick. McNamara off for Pace. Fouled by Waterstrap.
Valuing the dribble, knowing that people, you've got to respect them in the open floor. And Quincy Doobie right here doesn't realize you can't spin dribble in traffic.
But look how they're going after it, Bill. It's unbelievable the difference in Syracuse in the second half. I mean, they are going after the ball every time it is on the floor, whether it's dribbled there or whether it bounces there.
They've created a frenzy, and I've got to think Boeheim maybe got into them just a little bit. Be responsible. If we're going to lose, let's lose with effort.
Pace missed the first. Syracuse at 19-1, its best start after 20 games in school history, equaling the 19-1 in the 99-2000 and 1979-80 seasons. Watkins goes out for the Cuse, and Terrence Roberts is back in after Pace made 1 out of 2. And Gary Waters wants a mini timeout. An 18-point halftime lead is 7. 2 minutes and 18 seconds into the second half, and it's the defense that has the orange back in it.
Well, when you're number 4 in the country, you know how to get involved. This team gives it up unselfishly, but the defense, Jay, has just trapped them in tough spots. People not in the right location, just the opposite of the first half for Rutgers.
Well, it's all started with the inbounds pass. It's a 1-2-1-1 3-quarter court press, and Hakeem Warwick has been on the ball with his length and athleticism. They have trapped that first pass. Anytime it's on the baseline of the sideline, they've trapped it.
5 Rutgers turnovers in 7 possessions after only 3 in the entire first half.
Craig Forth, who's started his whole career. Second half, they went with speed. Roberts, then Watkins. They need athleticism now to take it to this Rutgers team.
Webb trying to inbound with a very long Warwick right in his face, and the pass from Waterstrap too high for Doobie.
And that's who they wanted it to go into. He was the one not guarded. Get it to a big guy.
The one guy free.
Warwick working on the Bailey, and he jams right over him.
Well, you bounce yourself to ecstasy.
I didn't think he could top the one at Notre Dame, but that's right up there.
Pretty close. Nice get back here.
Bailey fouled by Roberts. Bailey went down hard.
Bailey falls poorly, doesn't he? But right here, the ability to include the big guy, Jay.
Here's the dunk at Notre Dame, taken off from the block to dunk over Dennis Lattimore. Oh, haven't seen many better than that, but this is in its league, right over Bailey. Oh, turning over that right shoulder and dunking with both hands, explosive.
Whew. Just too easy when you get under the rim for a guy with this talent and soaring ability.
Bailey 5 for 5 from the line, 5 out of 6 from the floor. Foul on Roberts, his 3rd. Bailey remains perfect from the line. And Watkins comes in for Roberts. We mentioned that Ollie Bailey's from Chicago out of Farragut Academy, which produced Kevin Garnett. And he said he had a very tough 10-minute walk every day to get to school through some very tough neighborhoods in Chicago, gangs and drugs all over. And his mom, who raised him as a single parent, Andy Jenkins, helped keep him on the right path.
Lost a lot of friends too, right,
Yes.
John? They try to establish, and Bailey gets tagged with this one.
Bailey had already done his work. He had pushed him a step or two off the lane. That's all he needed to do. When you fight a guy that far out, you're going to get a foul called on you in the college game every time.
And it's the third on Bailey, who will come out in favor of Jewel Wiggin, and Bailey has scored all 6 of the Rutgers points in this half.
Look, he's won the battle right there. When he pushed him out that far, battle is over. It's won. Don't fight him then.
And also, it's a tougher pass. The guy's so close to you.
Watkins, the handoff. McNamara got stuck in the air, but got it to Watkins. He jammed it down to Warwick, and he's fouled. And that'll be the 15th foul on Rutgers in just over 3 minutes here in the second half. And the third personal called against Quincy Doobie. McNamara wasn't square. The rebound was tipped out to Watkins. Warwick, a nice catch. He's fouled and a chance for 3.
Sean, you're absolutely right. That was out of bounds, or at least off the backboard. Warwick trapped it, was able to finish. And what a tough angle to use the glass. He was deep under. That tells you his wingspan's utterly incredible. This is not a kiss shot, but he throws it back and able to convert.
But you see how he's going toward the basket instead of falling away from it this half. He's been a different player, much more aggressive, much more assertive. And Syracuse is different with Watkins on the floor, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. That time he went over the line. He wants it right now, Jay. Lane violation by the shooter.
I believe they got pace for a foul as well. They did. Second on pace and the third on the team. The lead 5 for Rutgers. It was 18 at the half, 3 minutes and 14 seconds ago. Shields one-on-one on Watkins. And a blocking foul called on Darryl Watkins, the sophomore from Paterson, New Jersey, his second.
I don't think you'll be seeing that happen to him in the next couple of years, though. He'll learn enough to give ground and protect. Very athletic. He feels he's one of the quickest guys, if not the quickest guys on this team, and strongest.
Ricky Shields at all 15 of those points in the first half. He declared for the NBA draft just a couple of days after they lost to Michigan, the NIT final. That surprised a lot of people because he had never even been on an All-Big East team. But Ricky said, I told Coach Waters I really never had any intention of actually going in the NBA draft. I just wanted to work out for some NBA teams, have them look at my game and tell me what I need to do. And he worked with the Nets and the Knicks and the Wizards, among others. He said Isaiah Thomas told him to work on his ball handling and decision making and the pick and roll, and it was a productive experience.
Go back to school.
Go back to school too, yes.
Don't have a problem that when you're a junior. If you're doing it earlier than that, you'd better be ready to go.
McNamara into Warwick. Nicely done.
And the nice play from the passing standpoint, but again, the hunger right now by Warwick. Different guy.
No followaways anymore.
He has 20, 11 in this half. Watkins a block, but a foul first. And this could evolve into a free throw shooting contest with both teams nearing the bonus. 6 fouls against Rutgers and 5 on Syracuse now in this half.
Boy, getting bumped down low by Webb. Webb was trying to manhandle him, and Hakeem Warwick much stronger this half than he was in the first.
And you wonder, why is Webb on him, though? Disadvantage size-wise.
Well, he's their best defender, and they rave about Webb, that he can guard a point guard, he can guard post players.
Well, not this one.
No.
He might have just got caught on a switch.
Yeah, could be too.
He did a great job against Ryan Gomes. He held Ryan Gomes of Providence to 14 points, and 4 of those were in the last 42 seconds of the game.
Now we've got to see Ryan Gomes get after it. He's a great talent. Not selfish enough, and I could see where that could happen.
Jewel Wiggin, an air ball, corralled by Bailey. He's been a star tonight for Rutgers, and Wiggin wound up with it. Doobie thought about jacking a quick one. Doobie has it back, got away from Warwick and hit the shot as the shot clock expired. That could be a momentum turner for Rutgers. They really needed something good to happen. With 15 and a half to go, back up by 8.
They still have Webb on them, so this is let's see, a box and one. Not a bad move right now. Makes you think a little bit. Tough jack.
And McNamara long with it inside. Pace, the putback. Josh Pace, he's been huge on the road against Notre Dame and Providence. Shooting 68% in those road wins. And a foul in the backcourt on Jerry McNamara. His third and a timeout. This is the start of a big Monday presented by Bud Light. Tomorrow night is Super Tuesday, brought to you by Toyota. A great college basketball doubleheader at 7 Eastern. It's Kentucky against Tennessee, and then at 9, something has to give. The longest home court winning streak in the country on the line at Wisconsin against the longest overall winning streak. Illinois' 19-0, one of the 3 remaining undefeateds, and Wisconsin's won 38 in a row at home. Far and away the longest home court winning streak.
This is not a bad home court, as we've seen. The key now, I think, is fatigue. Is Syracuse fatigue getting back in this? And the good job they've done closing out on shooters.
Going back to man-to-man now. After a pretty darn good possession of zone.
Nice screen across.
Doobie has it deflected out of bounds with 17 to shoot for the Scarlet Knights of Rutgers.
And Sean going out on him to put it on the floor, and they made him put it on the floor left. Jay had mentioned right earlier as his favorite routine. So pretty good defensive maneuver.
Rutgers 20 and 13 last year, their first 20-win season since 1982-83. It got Gary Waters a contract extension through 2010. And he thinks the future is very bright. Waters trapped with the clock running out. Rebounded by Pace and nearly had it poked away by Jewel Wiggin. Rutgers has signed 3 players for next year who are ranked in the top 150 in a couple of the recruiting services. This is Big Monday presented by Bud Light. Syracuse ranked number 4 in the nation. They've won 12 in a row. Down 18 at the half to Rutgers. They're within 6 with 14 and change to play here at the rack. Sean, Bill, and Jay, delighted to have you with us. Pace the flip. Edelin inside to score.
Well, the difficulty in this box and one, they started box one, is the rebounding now. Webb played Warwick for a while and then backed into the 2-3 zone, but nobody checking out. The little guys.
8 points for Edelin. Here's Jewel Wiggin for 3.
One of the few times in the second half that a Rutgers shooter has had time to set his feet.
7 for Wiggin. He averages 6 per game as their leading scorer for the year off the bench. McCroskey into traffic. He found Pace.
Pace once again, cerebral athlete. Oh, not a good look here on the pass.
Doobie a little too hot for Webb to handle.
Ricky Shields and Jimmy English return for Rutgers.
See, that pass right there just allowed the shooter too much time to set his feet and to set up. Now back to the 2-3 zone. Watch for a lob here. They're trying to get a lob along the baseline for Warwick if they can. They've been looking for the last couple possessions.
You know, the problem is Watkins doesn't screen as good as Ford. That's one of the dilemmas.
McCroskey. Edelin. Got it off to Watkins. Boy, that was a turnover waiting to happen. But Watkins got away with it as Bailey deflected it out. And Jim Boeheim's going to get McNamara very quickly back into the game for McCroskey. It's McNamara, Pace, Edelin, Watkins, and Warwick for Syracuse, with Shields, Doobie, Bailey, Inglis, and Webb for Rutgers.
Nice play by Warwick.
And he's bodied underneath by either Bailey or Inglis.
And Jay, on this particular play, I thought Warwick should have screened better, but he doesn't. But watch him slip to the goal alertly. I thought he could have pinned and let Edelin get a little deeper. Just a real smart offensive play.
That is the 4th on Bailey. You mentioned the lack of depth. They really have 2 inside starters in Joins and Bailey. And they both have 4 fouls right now. Warwick missed the first of 2, so Bailey goes out, and it'll be a smaller lineup as the guard Quezada comes in for Coach Waters.
And this is the Achilles heel for Syracuse. They are not a good free throw shooting team. They shot the ball pretty well from the line against West Virginia, but 11th in the league, at least in Big East games, in free throw shooting.
It started with Oklahoma State early in the year.
Yep.
Yeah, these are 2 of the bottom 3 in the league. Rutgers is 10th in free throw shooting at 66. Syracuse is 65% from the line. Only Pittsburgh is worse in the Big East at 64.
A tough match right here for Warwick, and that's what they're going to. A little ISO. See if Webb can take him or get the 4th foul.
Any foul the rest of the way will result in free throws.
Tough shot
By Shields, and it spun out. That was a quarter of the way down and came out to Warwick.
This has got to go inside, either by the dribble or the pass. They can bang it in there and be aggressive on the offensive glass.
Rutgers by 5. You just joined us. Rutgers led by 18 at the half. McNamara for 3.
A little early dagger.
Well, Rutgers didn't know what they were in. Quezada was guarding McNamara man-to-man, and they had to do a lot of shifting to get back into the right positions.
15 for McNamara. Syracuse down by 2. Doobie trying to answer. Just missed. And Warwick, the rebound, his 5th. He has 20 points to go with the 5 rebounds. He's had 10 double-doubles this season, far and away the most in the Big East.
Sean, you mentioned the smaller lineup. They're going one-on-one. It's tough to get going and get moving on offense. I think they're going to have to do that. What a fake.
Great unselfish passing by Syracuse. Watkins fouled on the way up. And after the immediate timeout, he'll have a chance to tie up the ball game, and we'll hear from Jerry McNamara on the art of shooting.
Two most important things about shooting are your legs and your follow through. So when I'm catching it, I'm squared up to that basket. I got the wide base and my knees bent. Catch, square, follow through. A lot of people say to aim at the front of the rim. You know, I aim right in the middle. You know, I'm focusing, visualizing the shot going through. No matter where I am on the court, it doesn't really matter because I'm going to knock it down. Got it.
Well, maybe that's the most important part of the art of shooting, the confidence to believe you're going to make it every time. Jerry says he doesn't think a lot about technique. He thinks shooting is more of a feel act. He pointed to Reggie Miller. He said you probably wouldn't copy Reggie Miller's form. He's one of the great shooters in the history of basketball.
How about the ticker, too? That's the big thing. He believes in himself
And the footwork.
Watkins trying to shoot free throws with that thumb wrap. The officials spent, what would you say, fellas, 5 minutes before the game? All 3 of them huddled around Watkins, looking at that wrap, making sure that it was okay to play with that wrapped around his hand. He missed both free throws. Syracuse this half from the line, 3 out of 10. They've had a dramatic comeback, but they could be ahead if they converted at the line. Oklahoma State and Oklahoma coming up next.
trying to establish a high-low, a little slip to the open side.
Inglis gets the bounce. Jimmy Inglis, the junior who hails from St. Lucia in the Caribbean. His first bucket. He averages 5 per game off the bench.
Pure Minuteman right now.
Edelin in the lane a long time. McNamara too hot for pace, but Doobie apparently deflected it. The crowd didn't believe that.
Syracuse is terrific at manufacturing post-ups with the bounce. They don't necessarily have to post a guy and beg for the ball. They're creative and selective with the dribble.
Well, all of their guards can drive and get in that lane. So slippery. Edelin, Pace, McNamara, McCroskey when he's in there. McNamara with the shot clock running out. A rebound by Terrence Roberts, who just came in for the Cuse.
Great pursuit of the ball.
Rutgers by 4, nearing the midpoint of the second half. Edelin lost it off the foot of Waterstrap.
Looked like Edlin was holding Waterstrat there.
I thought the same thing, Jay.
Savvy play. Waterstrat getting on the floor for the ball, but I had a feeling that Edlin was all over him, not letting him get there.
Edlin, McNamara pace. Warwick, Roberts for Syracuse. McNamara bounces into a three.
Pretty close to a walk, too, but he is active.
Jerry's parents have made the trip over from Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Or maybe he gets that ice water in his veins from his dad. He didn't look too moved.
Pretty delivery, huh? Jimmy with a nice look in the finish. But a big fella. Jimmy
Inglis, the 6'9" junior in his first year here at Rutgers. He is well traveled. Starting out from St. Lucia. Roberts, line drive turnaround, and a foul. The rebounding action against Syracuse. It's on Warwick. That's his fourth.
And it's his second dumb one.
not a good one at all.
And that's going to bring Craig Forth back into the game.
Well, once again, their ability to use people on the outside will help them, but Warwick, in this situation, you just got to turn and go the other way.
Really all started, Bill, with a bad shot.
Yeah, it did.
I thought it was a bad pull of the trigger by Terrence Roberts, and that ball hit the bottom of the rim, came straight down.
And Jimmy talking to Roberts about that.
Roberts and Warwick out. Forth and McCroskey in. And here's Quezada. 2 out of 3 from the line tonight. And got the bounce on the front end of a 1-and-1. That was the 7th team foul against Syracuse. Warwick with 11 points here in the second half and really keyed the rally with his length in that press in the backcourt.
And Gary Waters keeps moving them in and out. I mean, he is really strapped, too, in terms of size and strength. And yet the rotations, and this guy, man, he's stepping up beautifully for him.
Well, I mentioned these are 2 of the worst free throw shooting teams in the league, but Rutgers is 20 for 21 from the line tonight. That's the difference in the game. Syracuse is 13 for 22.
Becomes a perimeter game right now with this offense.
Pick and roll by Forth, and a foul away from the ball. Might be on Quezada as he was jousting with Edlin.
Well, Edlin's essentially a power forward relative to Quezada. Just take the freshman down there and post him up.
Well, they're smart enough to do that. We mentioned Wisconsin's ability to slide a lot of people inside. This team as well.
Just a little duck in. When your point guard can duck in and lock down the opposing point guard, that's a pretty nice weapon. Quezada just shoving him out.
Edlin 4 out of 5 from the line. Syracuse has missed 5 straight. A streak that ends with that free throw. The Orange just 4 for 11 from the line in this half.
Very much of an NBA move there by Jim Boeheim and Billy Edlin, taking a matchup down to the post and exploiting it.
Well, that guy watches a lot of NBA. Of course, he's got a number of players in the league too, Jim Boeheim.
Also an avid ping pong fan.
Yeah, he's a very diverse individual.
Well, we were stunned when we walked into his little cubicle there in the carrier room before a game last year. About an hour before the game, he was watching ping pong, and he knew the entire bio of both guys in the match.
Tells you you really want to be with him on a Saturday night.
McNamara steal on a bad pass by Wiggin. And he missed a layup, and McCroskey jumped too soon. The ball took 1 extra bounce on the rim. McCroskey hustled. What a turnaround that might have been, but Quezada missed on a spin out. McCroskey tries again. Blocked by Doobie, and there to follow Edlin. It's a 1-point lead for Rutgers.
McCroskey with as good a dribble move as you will see to hesitate. Didn't finish, but Edlin once again gets to the rim.
And McCroskey intelligently used Jerry McNamara, who was spotting up in the far corner.
Gary Waters instead really thought McCroskey was going to come to Rutgers. He told us it came down to Syracuse and Rutgers. Doobie off for Inglis. He is stripped. And now a chance for the lead for Syracuse. Their last advantage was at 6-5.
Enough screens out there. What an entry pass.
Pace puts Syracuse on top. They were down 18 at the break. They lead by 1 with 7:40 to go.
It's like a faculty game. All the little guys biting you.
Shot by Wigan wouldn't go. It's out of bounds. Last touched by Syracuse. Syracuse by 1 as the Orange look for their 20th win of the year, their 13th in a row. Their largest deficit was 20 just prior to the half. They were down 18 at the break, but they're up by 1 now.
In transition, Louis McCroskey drawing the defender that is with McNamara when he jumps back out, worried about the 3. McCroskey takes it all the way to the rim. And how about the power forward Edlin with the finish?
How about all the guys chasing here? Too much help, and the ability to get it inside. Josh Pace this time delivers. They are very good around the rim.
And look how he holds off and gets the angle.
As we come back live, it's 4th with a rebound for Syracuse. 7 minutes to go. And Syracuse has taken the lead with Warwick on the bench with 4 fouls. Interesting game. Rutgers opened up that big lead in the first half when Doobie, their leading scorer, was on the bench with foul trouble. Fourth drops one in. Syracuse by 3.
Now Fourth with a little thing. Spun out, got himself in position at the offensive rebound, trying to help his partner Pace out.
And it's always the offense that has an advantage on an air ball because the offense can look for the ball and watch its flight. The defense looks to block out.
8 straight points for Syracuse, and Gary Waters is going to send Bailey back in with 4 fouls. He doesn't want this to get any greater in terms of the deficit. Kick ball, says Tim Higgins. With a little Irish jig that got a chuckle out of many of the partisans here at the rack.
Timmy usually dances later in the evening.
And I'll tell you, Terrence Roberts better watch out. He's been jawing a little too much to Tim Higgins, and Higgins does not like it.
Bailey back in now with the 4 fouls. He's had a great night for Rutgers with 17 points.
Elin very active. Look at this guy. Look to trap.
Stayed with it. Webb's on the line. That's a 2 and an air ball fielded by Pace. McNamara for 3.
Wow. How do you cover that? And Pace knew when to give it to the little guy from Scranton. Come on, Dan, give us a smile. A more aptly named player, right? Josh Pace, great feel for the game. Disbursement here, Jake.
And on the run, look how he sets his feet, squares himself to the basket, and still goes straight up. There's no float in that shot, even running at near full speed. That's impressive.
And he says he aims to the middle of the basket. A lot of coaches teach over the front, as noted.
Later tonight, once again, the games to follow are in the tough act to follow department with this great action we've had here in New Jersey. But from the Big 12, it's the great rivalry between Oklahoma State and Oklahoma, both now in the top 15. Colorado State and San Diego State, the midnight offering. Matt Nelson leading that talented Colorado State team.
The difficulty for Rutgers, they can't take advantage of Warwick. They don't have that size and strength to pound it in. It's a perimeter game, and Syracuse has loaded there.
Back to man for Syracuse.
Doobie trying to get back on track. He made a couple of bombs early, but had foul trouble and hasn't found a rhythm since. Shields a miss. Batted back to Shields.
Pace really shadowing the ball, making it a tough delivery on that jumper.
This matches the largest lead for Syracuse. They led 6-0. Shields has 11 rebounds. That's a tough one by Ricky. There's Bailey. And he is fouled before the putback.
Fourth, huh?
And a mistake there by Terrence Roberts. You can't go block a shot there. You opened up the offensive glass. He had no chance at that.
3 fouls on fourth. He's a great student, 3.855 GPA, inclusive education and geography. Third-team academic All-American. I wonder who's on the first two teams of 3.855.
I think they include basketball, though, also. Don't you? As long
the
as
guy played 123 games. He was a starter on a team that won the national championship.
Well, the other guys might get 20 and have a 4-row.
18 for Bailey, perfect from the line. And that's his first miss. 5-point lead for Syracuse, nearing 5 minutes remaining. Trying to stay undefeated in the Big East. Boston College 5-0 in the Big East. Syracuse 6-0, the two pace setters. And Edelin. Yeah, that was intended, we believe, for McNamara.
Well, he flared and he stopped. He was going to go to the corner in the anticipation like a post route.
Just the second Syracuse turnover this half. Under 5 to go now. Warwick getting ready to check back in for the Orange. And the man for Syracuse joins, fouled, and if that's on fourth, it's his fourth.
Syracuse foul number 51, Craig Ford. His fourth personal foul.
We're taking a look now at our green light shooting the rock stat, and what a difference one half to the next. Syracuse for the year shooting 51%, an outstanding percentage, well below that in the first half.
But that percentage went up because their defensive intensity went up.
Boy, they got into this game quickly, and the other reason for good field goal percentage, they take good shots, but they use the bounce to get into that 10-12. They got a medium game.
Free throws by Joins give him 10 and get Rutgers back within 3. 4.5 to go. Warwick back on the court for the Orange.
They're not going to double, or if they will, they have to come late.
McNamara pace, fourth Edelin, Warwick for Syracuse.
There they go with it.
A double, and Warwick is fouled.
Got to stay straight up and down. You bring those arms down, and you're going to get a foul called on you. That's what Joins did. He brought his arms down.
Right here, they come with that double, almost on the bounce, and
just keep them straight up, make them shoot over you. Look, see how he brings them down?
Yeah, right there.
Away from vertical.
But they have an answer, at least on the out. Somebody to throw the ball to and make the defense move. Rutgers doesn't have that.
So Joins fouls out after an excellent performance. 9 points, his season high, one shy of his career high of 10, set last season against Long Island University. With the foul out, a chance to huddle. A chance to remind you about Super Tuesday tomorrow night, presented by Toyota. First at 7 Eastern. Helena Azubuike in the up-tempo Kentucky Wildcats face Tennessee. They could use a big win, led by Scooter McFadden at 9 Eastern. The Streaks on the line. Illinois 19-0 on the year. Wisconsin 38 straight wins at home. Who do you like in that one? Illinois and Wisconsin tomorrow night.
I like Illinois.
If Mike Wilkinson has as big a game as he's had lately, what, he had 15 rebounds the other night, 28 points.
28 points.
Just a tough matchup, but I agree with you. I think they've got that perimeter game we're talking about here. 3 guards that are among the best in the country, and Williams, Brown, and Luther Head.
I think Illinois is savoring the opportunity to go in there and be the team that can break that streak.
Well, Jim Boeheim has seen this before. Up and down free throw shooting.
Some Syracuse grads refer to they were a good foul shooting team when I was there, or a bad foul shooting team.
They were very bad when I was there. And they haven't been all that great this year. But good enough to be 19-1 and leading by 4 here tonight after 1 out of 2. On that trip from the line from Warwick is 7 out of 12 from the line tonight.
I think Bailey should get some opportunities to go at Warwick. Quick Jack doesn't get it set, but
Quincy Doobie has 11. And the house back into it with the Scarlet Knights within 2.
Back screen pop.
Warwick guarded by Bailey with the 4 fouls. Smart decision to go to the bucket.
Look at
Warwick
this guy.
on the 3rd try, blocked by Waterstrat. Big play by the freshman. 2 to tie, 3 for the lead for the Scarlet Knights.
Good poise by Bailey.
And you better get up on Doobie if you're Syracuse, because he'll let it fly from the edge of that arc. 10 to shoot. Doobie for the tie. Waterstrat a tip. It'll be Syracuse ball after the media timeout. As usual, scintillating action at the rack. The rack, a torture chamber for Jim Boeheim. Well, there goes Jay Billis's next donation to the women's program at Duke for Coach Guest and course.
They were playing, it looked like they were playing at Carmichael Auditorium. They're one of the great buildings in college basketball.
You played there, didn't you?
I did. I played there. Also played in the first game of the Dean Dome.
And right now, as the extended floor by Rutgers, defense takes over. See if they can stir it up a little bit.
Syracuse with 3 minutes to go as a 2-point lead. They trailed by 20 late in the first half, by 18 at halftime. They've led by 6 here in the second half. Warwick's pass deflected by Doobie. Pace, great play to keep it in the front court to McNamara.
Syracuse is not diving on the double. They've got to get somebody going to the rim.
10 to shoot. McNamara's been magnificent, but not this time. Waterstrat has come up with some big rebounds. Once again, 2 to tie, 3 for the lead for Rutgers. We mentioned they've won 4 out of the last 5 here against Syracuse, and a lot of them have been wire jobs as this one appears to be heading. Webb.
He can make this Waterstrat. He's got a good touch. Nice hustle.
And he missed his own follow-up, and then it was tapped out of bounds by Syracuse. 4th and Warwick both there. Neither could corral it. Gives Waterstrat an A for effort. And he couldn't find the basket. The second one was a real shorty. That's a quick ball by 4th, and boy, Steve Wellmer late with the whistle, but he got the call right.
They got to get a full clock. Boeheim can't believe it. He's explaining to him.
I think Jim didn't like the fact it was late, but it doesn't matter. He got it right. He did stick his leg out and kick the ball. Looked like a goalie. Dan Waterstrat was a soccer goalie growing up. And he says that has really helped him with his agility and footwork in basketball. Doobie for the lead. No. Bailey the rebound. Under 2 minutes to go. Syracuse by 2.
Waterstrat's been open at the foul line. He may be able to catch and find. Here's a screen away for Bailey.
Shields for the lead. Good! Well, give Rutgers credit. They were blitzed throughout most of this half by Syracuse. And it looked like once Syracuse took the 6-point lead, they might just run away. But it's an 8-1 run for Rutgers and a 1-point lead for the Scarlet Knights. A minute 40 to go.
Well, you have got to get right on Ricky Shields. The deep 3. And it looked like Warwick was a little bit reluctant to go out there, perhaps because he's got 4.
They say you live by the jumper, you may die by it. Well, they're living pretty well right now.
20 points for Shields, matching his total up at the Carrier Dome against Syracuse last year in a 2-point loss. It's a 1-point lead for Rutgers as they host Syracuse on the start of Big Monday. 82-81 with 1:40 to go. Sean McDonough, Jay Billis, Bill Raftery, our producer Bo Garrett, our director John McDonough, and a raucous sellout crowd at the rack. 1 timeout left for Rutgers, 2 for Syracuse.
ISO and the double. There's the dive.
Edelin, a tough runner, and Syracuse back up by 1:20 to go.
He benefited by diving and then finding a hole.
Just finds the open area when his man went to double Warwick.
Webb with Shields, Doobie, Waterstrat, and Bailey for Rutgers. They've lost a couple of heartbreakers in the Big East this year to Georgetown and Pitt. Doobie again. And Fourth the rebound.
Big time effort by Fourth. And a hustle by Pace to deter the jumper.
Under a minute to go. McNamara, the best free throw shooter in the history of the Syracuse program, gets the ball, and then Jim Boeheim has a timeout. Wearing a quizzical expression. He wanted that timeout a while ago. Nobody saw him. Well, we mentioned the history. Some great games between these two teams here. 1998, Syracuse down by 3. Todd Bergen could have tied it, but he didn't make it. 1 year later, the ball winds up in the hands of Ryan Blackwell. His heave didn't go for the tie. Rutgers wins at the rack for the second straight year against the Cuse. And 2003, Hervé Lamazana, the bank for 3 to make it 68-65. Rutgers. Syracuse does not call a timeout. After the Rutgers basket, they get it to the right man, Carmelo Anthony. But his shot to tie would not go with 5 seconds remaining. And Rutgers won another thriller. So there's a history of buzzer games between these two here. And it's been a happy history for the Scarlet Knights. Each team with 1 timeout left. Syracuse is ranked number 4. This would be the highest ranked opponent ever defeated by Rutgers. West Virginia was number 6 when the Knights beat them back in 1982.
A little weave to stay outside. I think it's got to go through Warwick, make them double, see what happens. They came late and they get the open look.
Edelman with 4 on the shot clock. No good. Rebound. Warwick's on the floor. He's called for a foul.
I think it may be Fourth, Sean. No.
I think they got Josh Pace.
Yep. And that's better for Syracuse, and that Warwick would have fouled out if it had been on him. It is on Pace. His third. No, it's on Fourth. And Fourth is fouled out. Tim Higgins holding him 51, not just the 5. So Fourth's out of the ball game.
Now you have a double every time down. Excuse me, Sean. You have an opportunity for the double as they did with Syracuse. That's the one asset. I mean, they got a very good look. The difficulty, I think, for Rutgers is now they got to rely on the screen on the baseline, get yourself, and a tough shot if you close out quickly.
The Nike game track. Syracuse down by 18 at the half, leading by 1 now on the strength of the 58% field goal percentage. A lot of it set up by great defense. The stars have been shining for Syracuse tonight. Rutgers, a team that averages 66 points a game at 54 in the first half. Ricky Shields with a double-double. And Dan Waterstrand in the biggest spot of his brief college career. The freshman, 6'11", from Dearborn Heights, Michigan, out of Redford Catholic. Averaging just 2.3 points per game. 66%. The Knights for the year. Brilliant from the line of the team tonight, and Waterstrand makes the first.
You had alluded earlier to what a nice job he's done on both ends of the floor, stepping up with some right now.
This one for the lead. Pace. Guarded tightly by Shields. 16 seconds to go. McNamara with Webb right up on him. An excellent defender. Pace with 10. Pace, a tough one. Didn't get the bounce. A putback. Terrence Roberts and a foul.
All the attention on the dribbler. And Roberts, who's had a couple of scintillating offensive rebounds, just slithers between defenders for the putback.
What a deflating play. Pace with the drive, and how many times do we see it's not the initial shot, it's the offensive rebound. Look at all the attention he draws and just allows Terrence Roberts to slip right to the rim for the stick back.
And Bailey had done a great job forcing Warwick away from the post-up.
Jim Boeheim has his other players back in midcourt as Roberts, a 62.5% free throw shooter, makes it. His first free throw of the night. It's a 2-point lead for Syracuse, 7.2 to go. Watkins is going to come back in for Syracuse. And confusion as to who is going out, and it's Roberts going off.
Extend the floor a little bit if you're Syracuse. Plenty of time for a big push.
And wouldn't you have more people pressuring in the backcourt here? Try to slow them down a little bit. 4.5 to go. 3.8 now as Waterstrat gets the timeout. They're out of timeouts. And Gary Waters has a chance to diagram what he hopes will be at least a game tying, if not a game-winning shot.
And your point's well taken because they get it to 4 now. I mean, if they pressured them, maybe it's a little less before they got the timeout. But you know they love the jump shot. But Jay, I think it's going to have to be off the dribble. They'll be hugging the shooters on the perimeter.
Well, you also have to watch a flare screen to get something to the far side where they can throw over the top.
This is one of those plays where if they use the 2 people on the post and they run baseline, you might switch. Let the big guy go out and stay at home.
I would switch everything, but you got to be mindful also of the man throwing the ball inbounds. You can't just leave that man, let him just waltz in and get an open shot.
Big thing is the screening here, too, to get the ball inbounds, Sean. If you don't set a good screen and the cutters don't set his man up, they'll get it going away from the goal, which will be much tougher on Rutgers.
They are underway in Norman, Oklahoma. The Sooners hosting Oklahoma State in a huge Big 12 battle. Both teams in the top 15 of the country. Will get you out there as soon as we're finished here in Piscataway. The arrow favors Rutgers with so little time left. Not likely to be an issue. It is a double bonus both ways. Syracuse has the only remaining timeout. Syracuse breaks the huddle with Warwick, Roberts, Pace, McNamara, and Edelin. And Gary Waters just breaking up his huddle. Syracuse is 6-0 in the Big East. Rutgers 1-4.
It doesn't look like they're going big on the inbounder, so they're going to give the passer vision.
Webb will play it in unguarded. Waterstrat, Bailey, Shields, and Doobie form a box around the free throw area.
They like to screen down on this and pop the guy out or to the corner. Boeheim calls the timeout because he saw the set.
Neither team has a timeout. 3.8 to go. Now, if you're Rutgers, the question is, do you change your alignment?
Well, you can stay in the same alignment, but maybe you have a different wrinkle on it. Maybe they were going to pop him out high. This time they might go baseline on it. And Jay mentioned the inbounder is the guy. He steps in. He may be the most dangerous guy of all.
Well, Gary Waters was upset with the officiating crew because he thought it should have been closer to their bench, that they called timeout in front of their bench rather than as far away from the basket as they're having to inbound it.
Well, they're going to have it almost exactly in between the hash mark by the bench and the center court line. And I think Gary Waters felt like when Waterstrat caught that ball and got the timeout, he was a lot closer to that hash mark.
And this is a dangerous pass if you go to their corner, that short corner, because a guy can take a shortcut and steal the pass.
And with 3.8 seconds, if you can inbound it and get a quick and clean look, there is enough time for a tip-in offensive rebound.
And actually, you can take a dribble and shoot it and maybe still get one, Jay.
Boeheim sends the same group out there. Edelin, McNamara, Roberts, Pace, and Warwick. And again, Webb will inbound with Waterstrat, Bailey, Doobie, and Shields. And again, they form that box around the free throw area.
And it looks like they're matching up. Let's see if they communicate here now.
2 to tie, 3 likely for the win for Rutgers. Webb, trouble getting it in, has no timeouts. Waterstrat, Doobie for the lead. No good! It rattles out! And Syracuse survives.
Woo! What a great look. Waterstrat made the pass, the patience, great execution, everything but.
And Jim Boeheim wearing a stunned look, almost as if he cannot believe that finally he has the happy ending here at the rack. That looked like it was going to be added to the list of horrors that he and the Orange have experienced. But give Syracuse credit. Even though Jim Boeheim didn't like the way the defense reacted on that play, the Orange are down 20 in the first half, 18 at halftime, and they battle back to beat a tough Rutgers team at home, with Syracuse winning on the road by 2.
And Jay and Sean, the 2-3 zone really gave the open look, and boy, what heartache. Excellent understanding of what kind of shot and how much time to get it off That is just terrific. Look at Jimmy. You are right. It was a struggle, but I think the first 2 minutes of this second half set the tone for the Cuse.
21 points apiece for Warwick and McNamara. Shields at 20. Bailey at 18 points for Rutgers. A game effort comes up just short. The Orange win their 13th in a row. Final score, Syracuse 86, Rutgers 84. Coming up next, number 9 Oklahoma State, number 15 Oklahoma. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Good night from Rutgers. Now Ron Franklin and Fran Fraschilla.